Hello, my name is Nicholl, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today I am talking about the abuse of words, And we're not talking about just any words. We're talking about words that people use when it comes to medical labels, things dealing with personality disorders. We're talking about words that people use out on the street, some of those slang words. And then, of course, there are those curse words. The abuse of words. If you are one who is an advisor, a teacher, a counselor, a parent, you have to be, of course, careful in the things that you say. Some of these words do not bring healing upon folks that people will use in their audios as well as their videos. If anything, they will use the same curse words that were used on the victim to communicate their thoughts, to express their passion and other things. And I will tell you that you do not draw people near toward healing, toward light, most of all toward God, okay, when you are abusing words even that are meant for good. Well-meaning words can be abused because those individuals who lack understanding as to the definitions of those words, case in point with one particular word called narcissism, which is a personality disorder, one that many people have who are quite selfish, who are self-absorbed. They are into themselves. They are about manipulating folks in such a way so that they are subservient to them. These people enjoy looking at themselves even in the mirror, right? They've got a lot going on with them, and they are destructive. This is just one of many personality disorders. But nowadays, so many people are taking that word and they are putting it on so many different folks that the label doesn't necessarily cover all of what is going on with some people, okay? And sometimes the label is incorrect and it is not the right one. But people who do not spend time researching and studying and, all of those things, they will take a word, take a few symptoms that they heard, and then they'll run with it. Okay. I remember years ago listening to some folks throw around bipolar. This one's acting bipolar. This one's acting schizo. Okay. That was another word. I remember hearing some folks throw around some slang words, especially one within recent years, cray-cray, being that one is crazy. You're throwing the words around. They're not bringing healing. Some of them were founded in with dark energy attached to them. Okay, many rappers will throw out some slang words. Many rappers are also sold out. Okay, for the devil. They are not interested in God. They are not interested in the things of God, and they're definitely not trying to deliver some folks, heal some folks, bring some people up out of bondage. They don't mind reporting about the devil's work, but they don't want to give you any solutions to avoid the devil, you see. Words are very powerful, and they mean a lot to our Holy Spirit. Okay, our Holy Spirit is the one every now and again that will give us a word to speak. The Christian knows that one can receive a gift, a word of knowledge, if you will, and that word of knowledge can be very powerful. It can bring people to their knees, depending on when it is used. What it is that God is trying to convey. And I will tell you that some folks can even be delivered over just a simple word or statement. They just want, maybe, let's say, someone to love them. And so, a statement of "I love you," it can go, it can speak volumes, it can just turn a person's life around. All a daughter wanted to hear was her mother say she loved her. All a father wanted to do is tell his children that he loves them. Okay? Powerful words, powerful statements. Okay? But when used incorrectly, when they are used in such a way where there's some fine print that goes along with those statements, right? There's some manipulation involved. There's some selfishness involved. They don't hold anything more than pain. Okay. People once again will find themselves in binding situations over words. Okay. If I am very upset and I'm just spewing out all sorts of curse words, that's not going to go over too well with the listener. And the listener is going to have to spend a lot of time trying to, one, get over all of the words, and then two, trying to reconnect with you. Some people are not connected with one another because of so many days, weeks, or even years of being cursed at or cursed upon, or being bad-mouthed, whether to one's face or behind his or her back. But you can reverse the curse, though. In the spiritual realm, we can reverse curses. You see, for years, I remember going through different debates and having some pity parties with myself, and then joining people in their pity party, and curse words are flying around, and all of this. And did they bring healing? No. They kept us angry. They kept us in a state of unforgiveness. If anything, we was trying to come up with some more words to mix and match and attack people with, right? And so when I'm caught up in that fight, I can't see freedom. When I'm caught up in the hate, I can't experience love. When I'm so enamored with paying someone back and being spiteful, I'm not able to move on, even though I might claim that I'm moving on. This is something that I want, especially my children, to catch hold of, because you see, we live in this world where folks, there are those that are quite selfish, and there are those that are not compassionate types. There are those that are self-absorbed and think that the world revolves around them. That's why they're unhappy, right? They're not trying to do too much for you, but they want much being done for them. So, you bow down and you cater to my feet. You rub my shoulders. You give me, a bunch of flowery speech, and you make me feel good, right? But then when you want that individual to do something for you, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I don't have time. Can't you find someone else, right? Okay. So let's just say that you become very angry, and so you throw out some words, right? Because you're trying to pay them back because they're not there for you. So you use various tactics. If this is the way you treat me, I'm going to treat you this way. So the spite is being spun around. Okay. Understand that what you put out will come back. Okay. It will come back. It's one of those things that happens in life. People try to explain it. Some folks will say it's karma, whatever. We will say, in the Christian groups and so forth, that you reap what you sow, right? We learn that from our Father. So if you reap good things, then of course good things come back to you. If you put out or if you sow bad things, then bad things are going to come back to haunt you. Okay, so there's the reaping and the sowing. Okay, I'm just trying to summarize it and explain it as simply as possible. But when I'm throwing out a word, okay, I'm sowing a word, and that word is not positive, and that word is not helping, and maybe that word didn't even come from God. What am I doing, right? I'm putting out dark energy. I am being influenced by Satan to put something out there to hurt someone. Ultimately, it may not initially sting, but eventually once a person sits down, starts thinking about it, oh my goodness, this is really bad. Okay. But then there are those words that are what we call convicting. They're not based on spite. They're not petty. They are convicting words. And God sometimes will give us this, word of knowledge, or he'll give us a prophecy, or he'll give us some kind of spiritual message. Okay. When we are walking with him, when we are aligned with his will. And when those things happen, yes, initially, I will tell you, because I've received some words from evangelists and prophets and so forth. Initially, it stings. It does. But then you start to see breakthrough. You start to see something change. You start to see the gifts of the Spirit being made manifest in your life. You start to see the blessings overflow. That's when you know that's a good word. Woo, Jesus, that's a good word. I'm feeling delivered right now, because there's love that was there behind that word. There was, I want what's best for you. It's like the parent that says, I want nothing but good things to happen. And so good things come, right? But then there's the parent that says, I want nothing but bad things to happen. And then, then there's the curses that come upon the child. And it isn't any wonder why some children to this day suffer like they do, because years ago, when a mother or father was frustrated, they were putting those curse words out there because you didn't dance by the beat of my drum, because you didn't behave in the way that I wanted you to, because you are this way and that way. And a lot of it is out of ignorance, is out of lack of understanding. If the child is walking with the Lord, that family members and friends and so forth who are wayward in the faith or are just unbelievers are not going to get it. They're not going to see it. So they will take words, and the enemy will take words from the believer and twist them all up and confuse them and mess with them to the point where the enemy will entangle them with a yoke of bondage, right? God doesn't want us to be entangled in a yoke of bondage, but words can do that. So if I have a poor understanding as to what it is that God is doing in someone's life and how, those words are going to bring me to deliverance, then I will go ahead with what the enemy is telling me and then allow those words to confuse me and mess with me. And before long, I'm caught up in some type of entangled web of bondage, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Some folks get this when it comes to relationships. I always end up, it seems like, going back to relationships, because some people, that's where I can be able to really communicate some messages. Okay. It's not always about personal stuff. It's about communicating messages so that people can understand. So I'm going to use an example. Okay. So the husband is very angry at his wife. Okay. He is upset because maybe she didn't do something for him. And so he starts cursing, right? He's got a lot of negative stuff he's saying, under his breath. Or maybe he's saying it out loud and she hears it. So she comes back and she confronts him. What did you just say? And he said, well, I said such and such. Okay. Or maybe he doesn't want to say anything because he doesn't want to start an argument, but she heard it. She heard it and it was negative. Okay. So then she comes back and she starts hitting him with a whole bunch of stuff, right? Two wrongs, as they say, don't make it right. Okay. And so now there is this web of mess between the two of them. Okay. Now that she said all that she wanted to say to pay him back for having said what he said. And now that he has said all that he wanted to say to pay her back, right? Two spiteful people. You see, you treated me this way. So therefore, I'm going to treat you the way you deserve to be treated. I'm going to pay you back. See, and I see this sort of pattern already developing with children already. Because they look at the parents and how they fight. And so then they do this sort of thing with, amongst themselves. Okay. Oh, so you said this about me? Well, you know what? You should have never said this. So I'm going to give you a dose of your own medicine. I'm going to tell you blah, 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 blah. And they go on and on and on. Where did they learn it? They learned it from the spiteful parents or parents. Okay. Dad doesn't play fair. So I'm going to play hardball too. I'm going to come across as evil and ugly and messy too. Right. Sometimes it's not words. Sometimes it's through visual art of some sort, where people are communicating very evil, very poisonous, venomous types of stuff at one another. Sometimes it's through photography, right? It's through artistic expressions using paint, using music. Sometimes people are very evil in the way that they do things through print media. Sometimes it's through broadcast media. Sometimes it's through text messages, comments, you name it. Words are floating around us every day, and they can either make us or they can break us. If you walk with the Lord long enough, you know that God will give you the strength to endure. God will give you the strength to surpass all of the negativity, all of the evil words, all of the evil schemes. And not only that, God will fight our battles too, because if someone's heart is not in the right place and they're abusing us with words, God will fight that battle, and that person will wish that they had never done that sort of thing to us. And I can tell you that I have seen that sort of thing happen. It wasn't what you said directly to me. It was what you said behind my back. It wasn't what you said through someone that was close to me, but it was something that was said maybe in writing. And if it didn't come from a good place where I'm just communicating my thoughts because I am frustrated right now as a result of A, B, and C, but it was really about I'm going to pay you back, well, my Father in heaven will deal with my light work. You see, the Christian has to be able to see what is going on when it comes to these words. Are the words valid? First question, are the words really valid? Are they accurate? Are they a good reflection of something that I've said or done? Are they truthful? Come on. Are they honest? 2, who is delivering this message? Is this a trustworthy individual? Is this someone that is doing this from a good place? Or is this a person that still got beef with me? They're spiteful. They take things personally. They're, easily offended. They've got a personality disorder or two, right? And finally, is this something that is going to help me in the future? Is what they're telling me something that's truly going to help me in the future? Am I going to be able to take something from this and really do something to help others, right? Because if all of this stuff is coming from a negative place, if this person is in fact just mocking me, hurting me, abusing me, disrespecting me, paying me back or what have you, then I know that this person is a hurt person. This person may feel slighted, rejected. This person may feel like they've got, no power. They're powerless. I may have done something that really hurt them, whatever it might be. Then we can take words, right, and reverse the curse. We can turn the situation around and we can say, well, I apologize. I didn't mean anything by this, or this is the mission that I'm on, and I'm sorry that you took it personally, but there are so many other people that I deal with, and there's so many other people that I counsel with, or what have you. Or when we got into that argument, I felt the need to have to communicate it in this particular way because A, B, and C. And once again, apologizing if, you have been so deeply wounded by it. I mean, what can I do to make this thing up? You see, so we can turn situations around. Now, if the person chooses to receive it, then so be it. If they receive the peace, if they receive the love, if they receive the genuineness of your apology, if they receive, you, then so be it. It's a beautiful thing. If they don't, it's still a beautiful thing, because guess what? You have a Father that hasn't rejected you. You have a Father that loves you unconditionally. You have a Father that you can go to with your tears and say, but she was upset when I came to her and apologized, and she really doesn't want to be in my life, or she, was really hurt. But Lord, you love me and you care about me, and you know how I felt at the time when I did A, B, and C. And I know that you can take whatever I've done and turn it around, and you will get the glory, Lord Jesus. And, use me as you see fit. You can be able to do all these things, right? Through Christ who strengthens you. You can do it. But words don't have to be out there just sticking on walls. And I remember telling a young lady, I said, you all have argued so much in the household to the point where in the spiritual realm, I can literally see the words all over the walls. Do you go around your house and pray after you've had an argument? I mean, this is something that I stand by. Let's go. Let's start praying. And I mean, she was on the phone and she was praying in the name of the Father, the Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit to cleanse that atmosphere. She had to ask forgiveness of the person who she had offended. She also just prayed that the Lord was speaking to her spirit so that she would have better words to say in the future. God will do this sort of thing. We don't have to, like I said, just allow the enemy to just come on in, say stuff, and then we walk around, with all of these wounds on us, okay? And they're just oozing, and they're bleeding, and the words are just, we don't have to do that. I don't receive it. I don't, whether it's in comment sections, whether it's out on the street, whether it's, sitting in front of somebody or what have you. I don't receive that. They think that you receive it because maybe you got a tear in your eye. They think that you receive it because maybe you aren't responding. They think that you receive it because you may have commented, and it wasn't anything disrespectful or ugly. It's just, look, I don't appreciate this sort of thing being said, and they take offense to it or what have you. But you don't receive these things. It just rolls off your back when you're with God. Oh, okay. So you want to call me all those names? Okay. Well, if that's the way you feel, just understand that you reap what you sow. You see, and sometimes they may not get the attack, but their children end up suffering much. And that's why I say, parents, please, before you go out there talking about what you're going to do to somebody, hurt somebody, whatever else, okay? And I'm talking about the worldly ones that don't mind putting up a fight. Understand that when you go out there and you're talking all of this, that the negativity don't have to come back on you, but it can come back on your children because of how you behaved. Okay. And then you wonder why children are going through like they're going through, and why maybe you don't have a good connection, because you got to look at how you treat other folks. So if you cursing the sales clerk, right, for instance, and you want to tell the sales clerk this, that, and the other, and matter of fact, you get the gumption, the boldness in your spirit, and you say, yes, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to tell them about themselves. Okay. And you do this sort of thing. The negativity doesn't have to come back on you, but it can come back on your children or your grandchildren, because you don't know if that's a Christian that's at that register. You don't know if that's a Christian that is riding in the car next to you that just happened to make a mistake driving, but you want to go off on them and call them all sorts of names and stuff. You don't know if that's a prophet or prophetess. And I don't really care, some folks would say, because she should have never done this and that. Okay, you don't have to care, and you don't have to believe, and you don't have to, do too much of anything. But God, in all his grace and mercy, he may let that one slide, but the next time around, he may not. I remember in the scriptures, and some of you all, I'm sure you remember too, where those folks, those little kids were just teasing the prophet, right? Elijah, and saying all sorts of things about him, his bald head and everything else. And those bears came out of the mountains and attacked those children, not adults, but children. Okay. God allowed it to happen. That's the kind of God we serve. Okay. I mean, you have to fear a God that would allow his own son to die on the cross for all of our sinful selves. Okay. His own son, righteous and true, and have him go through the fire like that. So you know what he could allow when it comes to a believer or an unbeliever who's acting out of line. Okay. So I tell you these things to just remind you, don't abuse words. Don't go throwing words around just because you learned a new word. Know what the definition of some of these words are too, because you can text the wrong thing. You can say the wrong thing via email. You can end up sitting in front of the wrong person saying something and not knowing what kind of title they hold. That could be your next employer and you don't know, or your child's employer. That could be somebody who's affiliated with someone, and some folks decided they just wanted to go off and start cursing. Well, I thank you so much, as always, for taking the time out to listen. Please do check the description box for anything related to your situation. Also, if you haven't given, please do. And you've been listening to YouTube NMEnterprise7. We welcome you to our channel. Please do subscribe. To God be the glory.